What's going on, pursuers? Welcome to The Pursuit of Calling, the podcast that provides you with the strategies and tools needed to successfully discover and pursue your calling. Whether it's through inspiring stories, thought-provoking interviews, or quick, insightful episodes on personal growth and development, we've got you covered. I'm your host, Thomas Carney. Enjoy the episode.
What's going on? So when I first had the idea to be a coach, I wasn't in chronic pain yet, and I had the same full-time job I have now, and I knew I wanted to be a coach, but I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what it actually meant to be a coach. I just, for some reason, knew that that's what I wanted to do. But without that clarity, how was I supposed to know where to go next? Again, I'd say I didn't really know what it meant to be a coach, but I learned through other podcasts and hearing what coaches do for other people. And I got the idea, like, man, that'd be great. I would love to be the coach in that situation. So what did I need to do? Like I said, I needed clarity. Clarity is kindness, and that is what we're talking about in this episode today. Now, no, we're not talking about clarity in the sense of how being clear for other people. We're talking about being kind to ourselves and getting clarity on the calling that we are pursuing. We're going to be answering the questions in this episode. What are you good at? What do you love doing? And what would you do absolutely with unlimited time for free? If money wasn't an issue, what would you do? So before you're pursuing your calling, you have to know what you're actually pursuing. Because without knowing what you're actually pursuing, you're just kind of throwing anything at the wall and hoping something sticks. It's kind of like how you test noodles out whenever you boil them. That's an old trick if you didn't know. You boil the noodles, and it works really well with spaghetti noodles, actually. You take the spaghetti noodles, and you whip them at the wall, and you see if they stick to the wall, hey, they're ready to eat. Don't eat the one you hit on the wall, though, unless your wall is like super clean, though. But anyway, personally, one of my strengths, one thing that I'm good at is one-on-one conversations. I love one-on-one conversations. And I'm super curious about everything. I love knowing things, and to a fault, my whole life, I've hated not knowing things. I hated not understanding. Turns out parts of that, we'll say, not the bad part, but it turns out those two qualities are two qualities that I need in order to be an effective coach. What about you? What do you love doing? Where do you thrive? What could you do all the time for free? If money wasn't an issue, what would you be doing? But here's the important question to that last one, to the last question of what would you do for free? The important follow-up question to that is why? Why would you do it for free? And this is what I actually want you to write down. Yes, the other ones are important, like what are your strengths? What comes to you naturally? But what would you do? What would you do for free for the rest of your life if money wasn't an issue? Write that down. And then answer the question, why? The why is important. The why is going to help you, like I've done with my calling, define what your calling is. Because whenever you get to the root of that why, we get to your values. We get to for me, I would love to coach. I would love to have one-on-one conversations for the rest of my life. Yes, I love being in groups, but I'm also a bit of an introvert. I love having these one-on-one coaching conversations, and I would do it for free forever if money was not an issue. It's because I love connecting with people. It's because I just like what I learned. It's like in the Maxwell method of coaching, you're not just taught, you're told, kinda. I shouldn't say told. But a value that I hold that aligns with Maxwell leadership and also aligns with my faith is that I'm a person of value who values others. I want to see other people succeed. And I get a lot of fulfillment whenever somebody takes, maybe outside of coaching, takes my advice and goes with it and it works. Or whenever I'm coaching somebody and I see the progress that they're making, and a lot of the times it's not because of me, but it's just because I was able to facilitate the thoughts that they were having. Now, that's a lot about me. But that was just an example as to why I would coach for the rest of my life for free. Well, I want you to answer that question. What would you do for the rest of your life? I mean, I'm repeating myself a lot. That's because this episode is short and it's super important if you're still at the beginning of pursuing your calling. And actually, even if you feel like you're halfway down the road, it's good to reassess this every now and then because our values change. Maybe what you would do for free a year ago isn't the same thing that you would do now. Maybe you thought that you loved to do that one thing. I used to think I wanted to be a teacher. Found out super quick that's not what I wanted. That was in college. Why? Because I love one-on-one conversations. Talking to a group freaks me out. That's a skill I want to grow, but it doesn't come to me naturally. So now, maybe you're overwhelmed. Maybe you're wondering, Thomas, I don't know how to answer those questions. These are hard questions. How do I answer these? I'm going to soften this a little bit for you, make it a little bit easier, okay? Ask the people closest to you. Ask the people closest to you for help. If you don't know the answer to these questions, I want you to ask these questions to them. I want you to ask them, what am I good at? What are the things that you see in me that I ignore? In other words, like, what comes to me naturally? I have a friend, I mentioned him before in an episode, his name's Shane. He loves asking questions, but that's not exactly the thing that he's good at. He's good at writing these questions down and then going forward and asking like 5-6 different people the same question so he can get a well-rounded answer. And like, that's a skill. That is something not everybody does. And I tell him that, and he's like, he kind of brushes it off. And don't worry, I've talked to him about this a bunch of times. This is not to knock him down. This is because I know I see something great in him, and he's going to do so many great things. It's going to be so cool. But that's something that comes to him naturally. What that means for his future, I don't know, but it means something good, and I can see it. So these are the questions to ask others. And even if you know how to answer the questions before, ask other people these questions too, because we all have our blind spots. Ask your closest friend, your family members that you're close to, what am I good at? What's something that you see in me that maybe I'm ignoring? And what comes to me naturally? And if you actually want to have a thought-provoking conversation, a conversation that will dive in where we will dive into your values and create an actionable plan to pursue your calling, I want you to sign up. Well, I say I want you to, but only if you see value in it. Sign up for a free discovery call. Like I said, it's free. You just click the link in the description of this episode, and it'll take you to my calendar. All you got to do there is sign up, guys. All you got to do is sign up, pick a time, and we're off to the races. Once you get into this conversation, once we can dive into your calling and have a thought-provoking conversation with somebody who was trained, not trying to talk myself up, but somebody who was trained to do so, then you can get from where you are to where you want to be in a shorter amount of time than you would have otherwise done. Coaching is awesome that way. Whenever I have a coach, that's exactly what happens. Whenever I get coached, that is what happens. It takes me from where I am to where I want to be faster. that length of time just shrinks. You guys, thank you for listening to this episode or watching this episode on YouTube of the Pursuit of Calling podcast. If you like this episode, go ahead and give it a like on YouTube, 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, because like Dave Ramsey says, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. And guys, keep pursuing your calling, do it well. And guys, I'll see you next time. Woo, I said guys a lot that time. Bye.